We're going to take a closer look now at space exploration and the U.S. Space Agency, NASA. We're honored to have with us today Sema Alpaytaç. She's the first Turkish participant in this year's NASA Aerospace Institute. The U.S. Space Agency brings students to its Kennedy Space Center in Florida to study at the Space Institute. Sema, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
First, let me ask you about the Space Institute itself. Tell me something about NASA's Space Institute.
Well, it's been going on for the last 24 years, and it's proved to be very successful. So they've been inviting teachers from all over the world, working for the international schools, and there were 22 participants this year. It's mainly sponsored by the government, U.S. government, and University of Central Florida, and ran by Brevard Foundation. Brevard Schools Foundation.
Now tell me, what are some of the things they teach you at a Space Institute?
Well, I mean, it was quite interesting because there were many participants from all backgrounds, and science teachers for primary and secondary, and working at IB level and so on. And it was mainly hands-on experience, and we were like students instead of teachers, let's say. And we learned what kind of experiments they do when a shuttle goes, or when they go to space, and the astronauts, how they live, what the effects of being at zero gravity are on their body, and so on. So it was quite an intensive and interesting program.
Now, do they let you actually go into one of these space shuttles? Do you actually get to see some of that stuff?
Exactly, yes. We did get to touch them, those that had been to the space and come back, even to the moon actually. And we've seen the diaries kept by the astronauts, and you know, anything, you name it, like what they wore, what they ate, and everything. And we also had the chance to get into astronaut suits. I mean, I've given some photos, and maybe you'll see them later on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Perhaps we will roll some of those. Tell me, I don't have a real perspective as to how big that shuttle is. When you think of them blasting something into space, you figure it can't be but so big. How big is that shuttle? You've actually seen one?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, the ones the ones that went into the sky, like into space in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s, were really so small. You could not possibly believe that two men were actually sitting in them, two astronauts, and living in it for days, weeks, whatever. But nowadays they're constructing giant space shuttles where they're hoping to have usual daily life, and even exercise and do whatever they need in a daily life that we would normally on Earth.
Now tell me, how did you get interested in space?
Well, actually, I was born in June 1969, and my father, being an engineer, he was really obsessed by the sky, and he said, oh, they're going to land on the moon sometime soon, and that's why he named me Sema, meaning sky in Arabic. And so, like, when I was a child, I kept hearing my father, paying attention to the moon and being interested on all those news about the sky and space explorations and so on. So I don't come from a science background, but that has always interested me. I work for International Community School, IICS, and they handed out an application form for this training program at NASA, and there are over 2,000 applicants every year, like invited people. And I was lucky enough to be one of those 22. I think I managed to persuade them with the application form.
Fantastic. Now, your students then, when you get back to school, what are some of the things you can tell your students about?
I actually, because I'm not a science teacher, I did implement what I learned as a teacher from the training program into other subjects, into my subject. It's like more hands-on experience for all the kids, like making use of even not having any resources as a learning tool, or having extraordinary tools as part of the learning. So it's added to my knowledge as a teacher, And I'm grateful for both the school IICS and the NASA program for helping me out.
Now, when we talk about a program like this, is this something that you found support among, say, your school administration, or have you found support within your school system for you going and doing this?
Definitely, definitely. It's so important for any school to help out their teachers for their own professional development, to give them a chance to let them know about the possibilities. It's very important because the world nowadays, it's a world of communication, and it's a global learning environment that you need so that you can serve your students better. It's very important, so I'm very grateful I had the chance.
So, Sema Alpaytaç, the first and only Turkish participant in this year's NASA Space Institute. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.